I can say naughty stuff on this, can't I?
It's uncensored.
What's your fantasies?
That's behind a different paywall.
Cool. His nose burst. I grew as a dom. I was like, oh, that's this fun thing. And people are like, bleeding? I don't know that you could call it a pro session. This is pretty ratchet.
Welcome back to another episode of Uncensored. And today we are shooting in London, my first ever international episode. We have Miss Gold with us today. Welcome, Miss Gold.
Thanks for having me.
Miss Gold is also known as Modest Gold, a photographer, curator, event programmer, and mother. Gold is obsessed with sex, perversions, and fetishism. She considers her photography work to be an honest and unapologetic portrayal of human sexuality and has been featured in infamous magazines like Love Magazine and Dazed, which you should check out. She has been hosting femme-only events since 2016, which over the last 7 years has become one-night parties, a space for anyone who has ever been read as a woman. She's passionate about education and has become an eminent advocate and spokesperson for issues of motherhood, safe spaces for women, fetishism, DS lifestyles, relationships, and non-monogamy. She's spoken on BBC, Woman's Hour, and has been featured on Fourth Studio, Freedom Media, and various established podcasts, including Come Curious. Her work and voice challenges and interrogates the restrictions and expectations placed on sexuality by society and elevates the importance of the sexual self. She believes that the freedom to explore and prioritize sexuality is a human right. Welcome, Miss Gold. I want to start by saying she just gifted me this wonderful one-night zine, which I want to flip through and show you all right now, but I cannot because the pictures are way too spicy for this platform, but you should grab one for yourself. I just did a quick look through and they're fantastic. Let's start easy.
Okay.
Yeah. What's the origin of your name? Modest Gold.
Modest Gold. It's actually, I'm not modest, so it's a joke. A friend of mine would just call me Modest as a joke, and Gold has always been the surname I've used.
Yeah.
So it's just the bringing the two together as like an oxymoron, and kind of like gold isn't a modest fabric or material, so I kind of liked how they were disjointed and felt nice together. Oh. No one's ever asked me that, so.
I mean, I think like the origin of a sex worker's name is so important, right? It's a really like not so subtle way of like choosing identity for yourself in a lot of ways and figuring out like who you want to be. And I think every time a sex worker changes their name or decides on one, it's always like a marker of like a new skin you've put on 100%. Or the performance that you want to put on or the way you want to be portrayed. How did you first get into the BDSM scene?
I think I was innately naughty. But I don't think I ever really understood like the label of my preferences until I kind of met my partner. So we met. And previous to him, I tried to pick... I can say naughty stuff on this, can't I?
Say everything.
It's uncensored.
It's uncensored.
We just can't show naked people having sex in the zine. Okay, that's too far.
That's behind a different paywall.
Cool. So I had met my partner. He'd been like, what's your fantasies? Like, what is it you want to do? And I'd be like, look, I really want a guy to drink my and I tried to on a previous partner and it just wouldn't come out. But it'd been in my head for a while.
A little pea shy.
Yeah, well, basically, two of my mates were drinking each other's the health benefits. Is
that true?
I don't think it's true, but it put it in my head like, it's kind of hot. So that stayed in my head. I was like, I want to do it in a different capacity.
Yeah.
And then, within 20 minutes of meeting, he drunk my He was a sub that had served a couple of pro doms, so he was like, you're dominant, and I was like, what does that mean? I was like, dominatrix, I swear they just wear like leather and latex and whip people. So I didn't have an understanding. This is like a decade ago, but I didn't have an understanding that wearing an outfit doesn't make you dominant. It's could be an innate way of being or a thing you train yourself in. It's quite vast in how you become dominant, but for me, it was just part of who I was. And I realized that getting a guy to carve my initials into his arm in CDT when I was 12 is probably dominant.
Tell me that story. Wait, like how did that happen? How did you get him to say yes? I like paint the I want the whole story of that.
It's so long ago. I just know that he wanted to ask me out, and then I was just like, if you put my initials on your arm with that like scalpel thing, and then he did, and I was like, this is fun. And then just, I don't know, being able to like bend people to my will, like men especially, I mean, as women, we're perceived constantly, and I'm not saying I'm the most attractive woman in the world, but we're all more attractive than most men, I would say. So we're able to yield people to our will because of what we look like. And I was kind of interested in how far can I push that all the time? Like, how can I get a cheeky discount, or how can I do this? And it felt in a way that was like in my power, rather than like, you're giving me something and you're lucky to be allowed that. It always felt like that for me from quite young.
Yeah.
And then, that just developed into being able to be a pro dom and a lifestyle dom, really.
Was that scalpel scene, I suppose, the first time that you've known that you're dominant, or do you have like the first memory of when you realize that you have these traits?
I like literally, apparently I don't remember this, but my mum said that when I was like 2 and being potty trained, I had to have an audience to pee. So they would get around and they'd all clap and be like, woohoo!
Some of these start very young, huh?
Yeah. So I was like, interesting that I wanted like my waist to be celebrated like really obnoxiously from really young. I don't think, I was just like, oh, this is just the way I am. I thought I was bossy and overconfident. I didn't really think about how, I was 22, 23 when I discovered that this is dominance. And we didn't have, I know there was Tumblr, but I wasn't a very on the internet girly. I had a kid really young. I was 16 when I was pregnant, 17 when I had him. So I didn't really kind of fall into like scrolling on the internet because I was busy like changing nappies and shit.
Yeah.
So there was never like the resources that we have now. Like now there's incredible doms like you and our mutual friends and people we admire, that you can have, the resources are so at our fingertips. But a decade ago that didn't exist in the same way. So there wasn't like this ready media for me to be like, oh, I like that suits me. Those attributes that belong to this label feel like they would fit me too. It wasn't until someone kind of picked it out and then I was like, oh, bingo, cha-ching. This will make sense now.
Yeah. So your partner, you mentioned, is this Toilets?
Yes.
Was he the sub who you explored a lot of your kinks and fetishes with?
Yeah.
And how was that relationship like to have that symbiotic, like push and give?
I just think at first, very, very fun. Now it's not where we've got a kid together too.
Yeah.
We work together, so it kind of isn't the same as what it was a decade ago. But in the first...
As all long-term relationships go, right?
They change and they evolve. And I think I wasn't pro-dom then, so now I do different things with different people. Also non-monogamous, so that's opened up a whole different can of worms. And I think at first, I was exploring what he did and his preferences that aligned with me. He didn't, for example, like being beaten up, or, well, he likes being kicked around, but not like corporal punishment, not with tools. So I wasn't doing that first. And then as I grew as a dom, I was like, oh, there's this fun thing. And people like bleeding. They want needles stuck through their ball bag.
I love it.
So I was like, there's so much more fun things we could do. At the beginning, I think I was so obsessed with him consuming like my It would be like, I worked in an office at the time and I would fill up bottles and be like, meet me on my lunch break and just only give him. So, so romantic. So it was like, I'm not going to anywhere else unless you drink it. So at the beginning, that was, really intense in that stuff. And I'd never had anyone like, I'd had one experience of someone doing foot worship when I was like 19, 20. And that was really, I didn't enjoy it. And with him, I did. So I kind of explored, I think, kind of like primal, more animalistic, very strict DS, but not as in like corporal, nothing that you'd seen on a documentary or what you, in your brain, you thought DS was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I would love to know how you two met.
We met through a mutual friend. So he was a photographer. She was a stylist. I was always kind of in the arts. My degree was in fine art. They'd done a shoot and she was like, you're going to fall in love with him. And I was like, he's going to fall in love with you. I was like, okay. She's mad. She was always coming up with things like this.
Well, she was right about this.
She was right about, but it was all not necessarily about me falling in love with people, but she was an enthusiastic person and loved star signs, you know. But
yeah. What's her star sign?
Oh, fuck, I've actually forgotten. It's January sometime. I think she's an Aquarius. Yeah, does that... No, she might be an Aries.
I don't know anything about star signs, but I like asking for people who are into it.
I only know my own.
And what are you?
A Cancer.
A Cancer. Yeah, okay, I'm a Capricorn.
I don't know if that means. I think both C's. We're gonna get. We're getting on. It's fine.
No idea. Someone knows though. Someone is putting the things together.
So she said we met with me, and then we both happened to both be in Brighton the same bank holiday weekend. And she was like, I've seen on his Facebook he's in Brighton. And I've sent him your number, and he texted me like, hey. You know, she says we should meet up. I was like,
that's how you approached. Yeah, a little hey text.
Well, no, and I was like, I'm at a bar, and he was like, oh, I'm at the moment, I'm bunking a train down, and do I need ID? He was like, I'm in the toilet, and I was like, who the fuck is she trying to set me up with? He has no money, and is he even over 21? But yeah, it worked out fine in the end. But I was a bit like, he's bog rocking it to Brighton in a
I think a lot of subs are like, this is sort of like the end goal, right? They want this like long-term DS relationship with the dom that they really care about. What is it about him that really set him apart?
I think that the relationship wasn't just DS. And I think, you know, we both aligned, like we run our photography business together. So we've been shooting together for a decade. So
heavy consumption,
formerly the London Vagabond. Might go back to the London Vagabond.
Okay, noted.
Feels weird being heavy consumption. But yeah, we've done that together for so many years, and we just aligned creatively. So it was like beyond. We both liked long walks, traveling. Well, actually, I had to train him to eat properly. He only ate beige food. But yeah, we aligned creatively, not just sexually. So it was like both that gave it longevity. Yeah.
Wait, so he would only eat beige foods, like as a preference.
Yeah.
And what does that mean?
Just chicken and potato. Like
only chickens and potato.
Now he's a lot more diverse.
I'm glad you have diversified his palate. There's no way that could be healthy for too long.
No, that was a red flag for me. I was like, I like my lies in restaurants. None of his 5 a day was happening. Maybe through my
you're eating very nutritious like foods, and he was drinking it all the time.
I guess is kind of beige, so that aligns with chicken and potatoes.
Yeah, his preference is a color, not like taste.
Yellowy beige. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. For people who are not familiar with play, like how much was he drinking at the time? And I know for some people, they have fantasies of like, this is the only thing I consume for long periods of time. Have you ever done that? Are there any health concerns that people who are interested in doing that level of consumption should know about?
So now he had those fantasies when we met, and I'm a numbers lady. You know, that's why I like keeping track of my water. Yes. I'm like, I want to know how much you've done. So with one night parties, he doesn't serve as a toilet anymore because I feel like the event has grown and evolved and feels like a space that should be entirely void of cis men right now. That's how it feels. Whereas he was just there in a serving capacity, but he isn't anymore. But he was for a number of years. And I think he counted 150 in one night.
Wow.
So that's quite a lot.
That's a record.
Not mine.
150 from everyone.
Guests, yeah. So people might have used them more than once. The first party he did, he tried to drink every single actually made him quite ill. Like, as in he puked up his stomach. It's like drinking, if you drank that much liquid that quickly, you would get fucked up. So,
yes.
Avoid... Not so good in your eyes, don't get in your ears. So I would say if you want to be a toilet, wear earplugs and goggles if you're worried about, if you're really serious.
Very practical,
and you're being exposed to a lot of your at once. That would be, he doesn't always, but he did once get an ear infection. And I definitely think it's to do with like his ear.
Yeah.
But largely like he's never contracted an STI through consumption and had one ear infection in a decade, so it's pretty good going.
Yeah, is is generally pretty like sanitary
It's
because your
pretty
body
yeah.
flushes out like all of the other like germs and
100%.
stuff.
But it can have blood if you're like someone was bleeding, and if you had an open cut. So like I would never ever promote anything as being 100% safe.
Yeah.
I would say if you're drinking, tested regularly, get jabbed. You know, you can get the Hep jab as well. I'd advise if you were a serious toilet doing that. Yeah, and goggles and earplugs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. You heard that here first. Remember to keep it safe. Keep it safe, keep it sanitary.
Yes.
And don't drink too much in one night, otherwise you will get sick.
You could puke up, not because of feeling ill, but just pure levels of water, like liquid.
Yeah. What other kinks and fetishes have you really enjoyed?
I love foot worship, and it's such a classic because I think it's like the most common fetish to have.
Yeah.
I love having someone at my feet. I like them unwashed. I like them clean. I like both. I like all iterations of foot worship. I like ignoring you. I like every toe being sucked by your mouth. Yeah, foot worship is a big one for me. I like physically the feeling. Not everyone's as good at it. But if you get it, and I love a good foot massage.
Oh my gosh, the number of subs who have tried to massage my feet and they're just like petting it.
Yes.
I was like, no,
What
like
are you
really
doing?
get into it, need it. Like
Yes.
this is for me now. Figure out how to massage it properly.
Exactly. They need to be better trained. There needs to be like a sub that trains subs to foot massage.
So the old dogs teaching the young dogs what to do.
100%. Some of them I'm like, what the fuck are you doing?
There should be like there should be a sub training YouTube where the sub's like, here's how you do it properly, and it's all of the experienced subs. I gotta make that a series.
100%.
I gotta make that a series.
So I've said to Kay that he's really good at foot rubs, that he should do something about that. But I love blood play as well. I love
me too.
Really, really, really enjoy that. I do like bondage, like predicament-based things, keeping someone in position for a long amount of time. I can't do shibari very well, but I like using like tape, pallet wrap, body bags, things like that. Corporal punishment, heavy, very heavy. I don't want to tickle someone with like a flogger. I want to beat the shit out of you. So that's rarer to come across. So something I do more in my personal life with play partners that really want to stretch themselves and enjoy marks. I love bruises and blood and like not permanent, but like, you know, long-term marks. So it takes a while to heal. I like the update photos and all of those things too.
Yeah, really harkening back to like when you did the little initial. Is there a scene from recent years that really stand out to you then that's like a favorite or really satisfied you in like a deep way?
Recently I beat someone up with my TNs. I've got a trainer fetish too. And she's gorgeous and she's a friend of mine, and we've been flirting with this idea of playing for like a year. So it was when it eventually happened, it was really, really fun, and she is quite extreme in what she can take. And it was hot to take my shoes off and like leave marks on her with the trainers, and I did it with another dom as well, and it was all very spontaneous and like fluid, so that was hot.
Let's move on to the rapid fire questions. What are your current favorite kinks and fetishes?
I recently for the first time ever nailed into like into a board and use a medical stapler. So I just want those to be my three. Stapling body parts. That was really fun.
Staples are like, I learned staples recently too. Yeah. Surprisingly, really convenient.
Oh my God, that's so
and like, so easy. I was like, I can't believe I haven't done this before.
No, they're so fun. And taking them out, the little tool you get.
Yeah, it just pinches.
yeah. I enjoyed putting them in and taking them out. I really want to do more like really sadistic. I don't know if you know Miss Ayuki.
I've heard of her. Yeah, I haven't met her though.
She's incredible. She'll be there on Saturday, so we'll meet her.
I'll meet her.
She does the most insane CBT and like torture-y stuff, and it's so inspiring. And when she was away, I babysat a client for her. I literally was like, I'm a babysitter. So I got to do some really interesting stuff on him that like a lot of my clientele don't do. So I got to like like banging nails and stick big fat needles through his nipples.
Ooh.
And it was very fun and very exciting. So I want to be more cruel, like extremely cruel.
Okay, noted. I love a woman who really like dives into her cruelty.
Yes.
Tell me the story of the first time you've pro-domed someone. Like, paint the picture. Walking into the room, how did you feel? How was that first time having a pro session?
Okay, I don't know that you could call it a pro session. This is pretty ratchet. Okay. So the first time I ever did sex work, and that was dominant. I don't even think I could call it pro-doming. I did a dominant service. We were in a flat in Holloway. My friend was a full service worker, and she had put up an adult work that she was doing stuff, and this guy wanted to be punched in the face, and she was like, that's not really a bit of me, but she was like, I bet you'd be good at that, you'd love that. So I'd only been with my partner for like 2 months at this point. And she was like, yeah, just punch him in the face. You can do it. So she gave me his number and we were texting. And he was like, when I get there, I want you to punch me in the face as hard as you can. I was like, cool, I can do that. So the guy walks in and I just punch him in the face. And his nose bursts. He starts bleeding. And then I was like, again? And punched him again. And at this point, like, I did not understand, like, that he probably wanted to have his face warmed up a little bit and a bit of a slapping and build it up. I was very literal. I was like, you told me to smack you in the face. I smacked you in the face. I have learned a lot since then.
Yeah. Did you have a conversation after where he's like, actually, I needed a little bit of a warm up?
Yeah. Well, he didn't say that. He was like, whoa, thank you very much. He was like, no one's done it like that before. But I think...
At least it worked out.
But I think that, I was like... It was a real learning point for me, and definitely not how I would. This was just in a flat. I was wearing like a tracksuit. It was not. It was not. There was nothing dungeony or elite or anything you want to. But it had no airs and graces. The man got punched in the face. That's it. That was my first.
I think sometimes like that's the way you start, right? And you learn as 100%. You go along. Like, oh, there's conversations that's probably needed, and all of that.
You learn a lot, and then I ended up doing kind of a lot of like before I ever went in a dungeon. I did a lot of niche things. Like a guy wanted to be robbed in a church graveyard.
Like robbed?
Yeah, like robbed, like money stolen off him.
Okay.
Like consensually. And he wanted to buy my clothes over the period of a month. So I was sending him like all different outfits.
Yeah.
And then I met him in the church. And he had just hidden money in they were my dungarees. And I was like, this is so weird. And he'd like squished himself into shoes I'd got him that were like way too small. It's like, please don't rob me. And this chap,
you robbed him.
Yeah. And then I'd missed some of the money and it was like pulling it out of the pocket. Like, I've got no more money. And just like showing his bum. My introduction wasn't through like apprenticeship. It was very much meeting people and learning things and growing a lot. And obviously I understood consent from the beginning, but I didn't think I understood the art of domination and the T's. I'm a very like, let's go for it kind of person.
Yeah. And I think there's space for that, right? I think like right now, domination, it's become very streamlined in a lot of ways. There's apprenticeships as dungeons, there's like some very expensive classes that people are like offering, but sometimes like there's space for people who are just learning as they go along.
Yeah.
Because they're starting off or they're young. And I think, as there's more information out there too, like 100%. It's okay to like be like, hey, this is where I started. And
I think I was very honest about it too. I didn't do the fake it till you make it thing. I was like, if a guy was like, this is what I want to do, I'd be like, I haven't done that before. I would do a lower rate and learn that with you. Are you comfortable with that? And kind of do things that way rather than I didn't want to do something I didn't know if I knew how to do it and be unsafe. So as much as in certain things, I think fake it till you make it's a good thing, but not always, because if you're faking something you can't do or you don't understand the parameters or the safety, then that can be really dangerous.
Yeah, especially for a riskier play. And I remember when I started at the dungeon too, I told everyone that I'm very new to this, or like I haven't done XYZ before. Like, you might need to be a lot more verbal in the scene.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's great to find subs who can like work with you.
Yeah, you
on
can
that.
learn
Yeah.
so much from a sub. 100%.
Exactly. You mentioned that you like thinking outdoors and in nature in one of your podcasts. Give me your favorite outdoor thinking space.
The train. The train. I think I find peace in chaos. And when you're like sardined in rush hour, you've got no choice to feel sane. You have no choice but to go inside your head. That's not really nature. But
I was like, I don't hear any trees or
there are
birds
no
here.
trees. Put me in a metal tin and have a good old think. So I think perhaps I was in a different point in my life. Maybe I'd just been away somewhere. I like being on water. I'm not on it often. I'm like, whenever I'm on the yacht, I think, I need to the 2 times I've been on the yacht. I really like being by sea is a very like comforting place where I'm able to like think things through. And the middle of the night in bed, that's not nature. So I don't know where I was at then. I didn't even know I said that.
You definitely mentioned it on one of the podcasts. Have you been to New York before?
No.
Well, you'll love the New York subway if you like chaos. Like, absolute.
I go there to think. I'll just catch a flight, have a good think.
Absolute chaos. You'll do so much good thinking.
I will.
Down
just
there.
Round and round on the
horrendous down there. Last rapid fire question. You have this like small alt IG page called Eat My Airs, where it's just your airmax collection, and you also mentioned that you like functional but sexy fetish wear. I personally don't really do heels in sessions anymore at parties, whatever, for too long. What's your favorite airmax right now?
Oh, I'm really into TNs, and I spent a lot of time into 95s. And now I'm more into TNs, and I feel a bit bad for my 95 collection because I don't get as much airtime. Like, I'm just not out in them as much. TNs are just fucking sexy. Like, I feel like my face changes when I talk about trainers. I'm like, I'm actually very rarely not wearing them.
I was wondering if that
is very rare. I was like, I need to look a bit smart. I literally just took a pair off. I was in a pair earlier. I'm 99% of the time in a pair of 95s or TNs. I do occasionally like 98 or 97 or an airmax one, but mostly 95s and TNs. Yes.
Well, subs, if you want to gift her some shoes, those are the ones you should look for. Thank you so much, Miss Gold, for coming on. This is so fabulous to talk to you. Thank you. I cannot wait to see you at the party.
I'm really excited.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for watching this episode of Uncensored with MX Tommy. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you're a very good sub. And don't forget to follow me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and Patreon, and all the other apps that I'm on. I'll see you on the next one.